they're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to Tobago Updates Morning Show. I am your host, Renessa Ortiz, and we welcome you to yet another episode right here on Tobago's #1 station. To those of you joining us on Facebook, YouTube, for AMPLIA and Digicel, thank you for joining us yet again on another morning. It is July 7th, 2026. I'm joined in studio by my co-host, Alex Brown. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Renessa, and how are you?
I am well. Can't complain. I'm alive.
That is the thing. You're alive. Why complain? Good morning, viewers, and a very happy Tuesday to you all.
And viewers, as we get further along into the programming this morning, we head on over to news in 90 seconds. Career opportunities are now open across the armed forces as the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force launches its 2026 recruitment drive. Enlisted positions are currently available within the Air Guard, the Coast Guard, and the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. Motivated citizens aged 18 to 25 with clean criminal records have until July 10th to complete online registration. Mandatory in-person document verification for Air Guard applicants is scheduled for mid-July at the Ulrich Cross Air Station in Piaco. In a formal public advisory, the Ministry of National Security is warning citizens and businesses to maintain the highest levels of respect when handling national emblems. Authorities emphasize that whether state symbols are displayed, reproduced, or used for commercial purposes, they must strictly comply with the National Emblems Regulation Act. The ministry is directing the public to the official national identity guidelines on its web portal to prevent illegal or undignified misuse of state heritage. And finally, atmospheric monitors report that Saharan dust concentrations across the Sister Isle will remain low over the next 3 to 4 days. This temporary relief is due to back-to-back tropical waves and the intertropical convergence zone moving across the region, which are actually clearing the skies. However, a moderate dust surge is forecast to arrive by Friday, reducing air quality and visibility marginally heading into the weekend. And that was the news in 90 seconds. Tune in again at 6:30 p.m. for our full newscasts. Alexia, as we're seeing here within the news in 90 seconds, the Ministry of National Security warning citizens and businesses to maintain respect when handling our national emblems. And it just goes to show that we still need to have that level of patriotism when it comes to preserving our national heritage, preserving what is synonymous to us and treating it with the highest regard of respect.
I mean, I agree that there should be some minimum compliance in terms of how you use national emblems. And I am hoping that we can balance that with encouraging citizens to use the national emblems. I'm hoping, of course, with this warning that we are no longer going to see flags flying upside down at our police stations and so on. We've had quite a few of those around both Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm hoping that the ministry is going to start home and make sure that the example is set from the ministry. And that, of course, citizens, we are going to be very, very circumspect in our use of our national emblems.
Indeed. Now, viewers, we're heading into our celebratory segment of our morning. We're on to our birthday shout-outs this morning. First up on the lineup,
this is Gwendolyn Lovelace of Mount St. George. She's celebrating all of 70 years today. Yes, they told us your business. A very, very happy birthday to you. This is a milestone, and we hope that you are going to enjoy the day, that those around you are going to treat you as the queen that appears in this picture. And we certainly hope that as the years roll on, that you are going to continue to enjoy favor and good health from the good
to you. You look very vibrant in this picture, and I hope that today you also get to go out in such restaurants seated the same way. You get some time to take some pictures and really celebrate with those who love, cherish, and appreciate you. Wishing you all the best in your new journey upon this new year. Happy birthday to you.
Following that is Shamari Hector. Happy birthday to you. We hope that you have a very blessed day. There's a very focused look in this picture. We trust that the new year begins just as focused as this picture appears, and that as you continue on through life, blessings of Almighty God will rest with you, and that you will not only be focused but fulfill your purpose. Happy birthday to you.
And last but certainly not least, we have Renee Archer. Happy birthday to you. You have a lovely smile in this picture today, and I hope that this smile resonates throughout the day, throughout this upcoming year. And I wish you all the best going forward, and that Almighty continues to richly bless you. And this has brought us to the end of birthday shout-outs. But to those of you who did not make it on our line morning, we want to say happy birthday to you. Be safe today, and I hope that you enjoy to the fullest. Viewers, now in our lineup, what has been customary since the start of the World Cup, we have Marcus joining us this morning.
We hope he's all right.
We hope that he's all right, because we know his team went home yesterday. But viewers, are on our World Cup updates with Marcus this morning.
Put all or some of your dividends on yours and get up to 3 times the amount. Your loan would be extended to maintain the same installment. Promotion runs June 23rd to August 31st. Think, plan, save.
Good morning, Marcus.
Yes. Good morning, guys. Good morning to viewers of Tobago Updates television. I've landed safely in Portugal. I'm actually doing this report from Portugal. Yes, it was a sad day for football yesterday.
All of football was that a sad day for Marcus.
It was very, very sad day for fans of Cristiano Ronaldo and that of Portugal. Yes, I know it was a happy day for persons supporting Spain. It was a match that was billed as a closely fought encounter. We expected it to be a match where both teams going to be very conservative in that, not going out there and trying to dominate each other. Possession would have been a thing, and we saw it yesterday. For me personally, as neutral, because I'm not a football coach in that sense, it was a very, I don't want to use the word boring, but it was underwhelming. Let me put it that way. It wasn't what I anticipated to be a very exciting one. I think both teams were very safe in how they would have, carried about the possession of the ball, and I expected a late goal and hopefully it would have been on the side of Portugal, but Spain got the late goal and they have now secured their spot in the quarterfinal. It has actually brought to an end a wonderful World Cup career, that of Cristiano Ronaldo. He announced yesterday that yesterday's match was his last for Portugal in the World Cup. Not too sure what's going to happen going forward. And of course, he would have left the scene with 27 appearances for Portugal, scoring 11 goals. And he has the record as the only player to have scored in 6 consecutive World Cups. So that's something for him to leave the scene with. A dedicated player to the Portuguese team. And plenty will say that before Ronaldo's era, no one knew of Portugal and Portugal winning championships. Yesterday, he's very delighted. He did not win the World Cup, but he's very delighted to have won 3 titles with Portugal and numerous other delightful occasions representing the Portuguese team. I wish him all the best in his career. I'm still a big fan of Ronaldo, and looking forward to see what he has to offer for the Portuguese team. Maybe a coaching role or a mentorship role. But yes, congratulations to Spain, the Spanish, the 2010 champions, looking like they can challenge for this title in 2026. Still unbeaten in 35 games. Yes, they have extended their winning streak to 35 games, and they are yet to concede in this year's World Cup. They look at a team that can go to the end. They have been labelled as the favourites to win the title, but they now have an interesting encounter against a Belgium team that I want to say they have been baptized. Belgium coming from 2-0 long against Senegal. They looked the part last evening against a USA team. I think the world, well, except USA, wanted to lose last night. And Belgium came out 4-1 victors. And it's not to say that USA, they weren't playing good football, but because of this geopolitical thing and President Trump getting involved with this red card and Balogun played last evening. But the Belgian team came out last night with a mission. In fact, when they scored their 4th goal, they did the Trump dance. I'm not sure if I can do the Trump dance, and they would have obviously shown a bit of shade there for President Trump and the USA. So congratulations there to Belgium and all their fans. They are now into the quarterfinals. It's beginning to take shape that today we have the final set of matches in the round of 16. We're going to have Argentina taking on Egypt at 12. That's at midday. And then we're going to have Sudan taking on Colombia at 4 p.m. The winners of those 2 games, they're going to meet in the quarterfinals. And the other matchups thus far, after tomorrow's rest day, we're going to have a stay for the first time. Rest day on tomorrow. Then we're going to come on Thursday. Big one, France taking on Morocco. And then on Friday, Spain, Belgium. And Saturday, we have a doubleheader on Saturday. Norway versus England. And the winner of today's match is going to take that final match on Saturday in the quarterfinal. I'm not sure who you guys are supporting, but it's getting to the end of the World Cup. We have a few more matches, and I'm not sure how it end. But my team is out, and the typical Jimmy and bandwagon. I'm not going to tell you who I'm supporting. I'm going to tell you until my next team.
Marcus, we've had an interesting situation where we had both the host nations are now out of the competition.
Yeah.
But in particular, the USA, for one of the host nations, left not necessarily in disgrace, but amid significant controversy. Would the statistics record recent history where there was such controversy in a recent World Cup?
No, this is the first time that something like this has happened, because this is enshrined FIFA rules. If you have a straight red card, you automatically miss the next match. And this is the first time you see a sitting president and boasting about it as well, called up the sitting president of FIFA, indicated that wasn't a foul and he should play the next game. This is the first time that this has happened, and it will have, and I'm saying no, it will have far-reaching effect when it comes to the presidency of Mr. Infantino, because the situation now where England, they are into the quarterfinals, and they would have had a player that got a red card in their last game. What happens now for that player? Is he allowed to play in the quarterfinal game? And they may well be within their right to ask for that player to be reinstated in that game. Now, it runs afoul of the rules of FIFA in that sense. So it has far-reaching effect, maybe on the presidency of Infantino, or it brings into disrepute the integrity of the football.
Integrity of FIFA in itself, because when the president of the association speaks, he speaks FIFA, and so it brings FIFA as an organization into disrepute. So there may be some turbulent days ahead yet for world ball.
Well, indeed. I mean, what's a beautiful game without some controversy in that sense? And I'm disappointed that none of the host nations and the CONCACAF teams, because we play in the CONCACAF region, and I would have loved to see a CONCACAF team getting as far as the quarterfinal, but who knows, the semi-final as well. So now USA, Mexico, Canada, and even Curacao, they are out and they are going to be watching, and I'm hoping that they remain good hosts until the end of the World Cup.
Well, let's hope so.
You know, we yesterday, a lot of people were asking if you were okay, because we found that we couldn't find you after the match with Portugal. What went on?
I had to take a flight. I had to take my flight. I had to go to immigration and all these different things. I've landed safely, so I'm here talking. I'm not with the fans.
Because they almost put out a bulletin asking Marcus.
I tried to stop this, sir. I tried to save you from this, but I didn't succeed.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time in the World Cup, but I'd love to go deeper, and I'm happy that I have persons out there that are concerned about my well-being, and I thank you guys so much. I mean, look at this. Oh my gosh! I just wanted to know that I'm safe. I'm in Portugal. I'm in Portugal, and I was going to immigration. I didn't have data to post, but I'm here today, and I want to wish their team the best going forward as well.
Thank you. Thank you coming up for showing.
I know that has Ronald Wood. That has Ronald Wood all over it. That one has Ronald Wood all over it. But I'm going to get him back. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Marcus.
Yes.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Eyes Limited, where innovation meets excellence and the service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships. It's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Yes, viewers, and that is it for our World Cup update. But we're moving on to the rundown this morning. Alex, what do we have in store for viewers this morning?
It's an interesting lineup this morning. We're talking boys polishing camp. I'm sure you'd want to know what that is about. I'm not going to say any more about it. You just want to make sure that you stay here and join us for the conversation on boys polishing camp. Then we join the police service and talk about their aerobics. Note it takes place soon. You want to stay for that as well. And then finally we get an update from ITNAC on what's been happening on the ground in Venezuela.
And viewers, there you have it. To be a part of these conversations, stay tuned right here on Tobago Updates, and remember to share the light, share the light, share the light.
Nice.
If I have to call a supervisor one more time to sign off on a customer because their financials are in a mess, I will scream.
Hey, don't scream in a bank. That have lockup in it.
It's either they're not registered properly, or you know what? We could just forget about annual returns, right?
Compliance is a bad word to most of them. All your compliance out of here. Well, eat.
What is wrong with Trin Bingonians? I mean, it has such help they could get out there.
Well, you know, Trinis, we don't like to spend we money.
But you know what? Be comfortable with losing we money. That make it any financial
What people should do is call Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago.
Wait, what? Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago.
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago Tax and Accounting Services. Yeah, they offer helping from registering your business to filing your tax. My lunch is over. Oh.
Wait, tell me more.
No, go on screaming. You go on scream in the back.
No, I don't get one sooner.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
As small Caribbean islands, we do need to remember that we can't do it individually. The Caribbean needs to work as a whole. From something as simple as pool procurement of medicine or pool procurement of equipment, to sharing training, to having centers of excellence in different islands. Working together as one, we can become giants.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
From the reef to the road. From the reef to the road. From the reef to the road. Tobago calling. Sweet vibes, sweet wine, everybody falling. We bring the culture straight to you. Tobago updates, we keeping it true. Oh gosh. Tobago updates. On the screen, here we go. You're home for October, carnival show. From the big station to the rabbit line, we bring Tobago to the world in real time. Tobago updates. Tobago updates. Carnival 2026. We said the pace. Wave your flag. Anywhere there. Anywhere. Island love streaming all around you. Yeah. Clicking long, come to the rhythm start. Tobago updates. Caribbean art. Caribbean art.
The Caribbean is more than just a place. It's a spirit, resilient, vibrant, and full of stability. Rooted in connection, driven by community. It's who we are and the heart of everything we do. For over 150 years, we've been right here, invested in the Caribbean, its people, and its progress. And today, we're going even further. Liberty Business, rooted in the Caribbean, committed to.
Coming up, Barbados kicks off festival season with Clover, where you can live like a local. Moments of discovery and joy during Culinary Month in Antigua and Barbuda. That hero within you. As these women of vision share stories of success. Caribbean Passport TV, your guide to what's happening in the region, here on this station.
And I have never ever tried anything from the dirt oven.
Let's go to the backyard dirt oven on a Thursday. Here now, talk about authentic. On entry, I felt at home. I felt like I was going to visit my loving grandmother on a weekend. The kind of weekend where she showers you with love, stories, and food. This place is a home away from home. And just like I would do at home, I pop the question, what you have to eat day? And boom, coconut drops. Boom, bread. Boom, garlic bread, boom, hops, coconut tart, boom, jam tart, and boom, something they call nuts. And just like that, Mistress Baker was ready to pop them in the oven. And don't worry, she had some help. And while we was waiting, let me hear from Mistress Baker herself.
Well, we've been operating for 3 years now. We started, this was a COVID project. We operate strictly on Tuesdays only. You don't keep stock, we only sell on Tuesdays.
Such a sweet lady. Hey, Olia, it's ready. When last you see a nice golden brown bread, sir? Back Backyard bakery for the win. All your at GT. Finally get me the oven bread with a little extra goodies on the side. You may be asking, where they're located? They are located on Bukuru, right on Nightingale Avenue, right before Racetrack Wheels if you're coming from town. Just look for the green hedge. You can't miss it. Pause. Check out the menu they one time. Honestly, guys, this is an experience I will never forget. It's a home away from a place filled with love, life, and most importantly, good bread.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, 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 morning.
Welcome back, viewers. As promised before the break, we're talking boys polishing camp. And in studio with us this morning, we have Michael Stewart. He's a camp mentor, and he's going to talk to us all about this initiative. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Stewart.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, we're talking the boys polishing camp. Looking back over the years, this isn't your first edition.
No.
How has the program evolved and what lessons helped shape this year's camp?
All right, back over the years, we've been running it quite a number of years now. I'm trying now to remember how long we've been having it. I know it's more than 15 years now that we're running it. And when you look at the boys, now that they've grown up, you go into business places, you see them working. It brings us sort of joy. One lady sent me a picture of her son sitting in a pilot seat. He's now a pilot. He started off in his polishing camp. AJ Allen, who is right here in Tobago, he has been one of those. He came in at the camp, he didn't want to come, his mother apparently forced him, and then now he has really evolved well over years. He has acted as Prime Minister, I think it is in the Junior Youth Assembly, etc. He has traveled representing young people and so on. That gives a certain amount of joy to me whenever we see that. Over the years, we've had also St. Lucia. So for the last 5 years, we have been doing St. Lucia. This year, I remember what we did last year was that we showed them boys how to change a motor car tire and so on. And a mother sent me a picture of her son changing the motor car tire. And she had broken down on the road in the night. And she said that having that, normally now, what would she have done in this situation? So, I mean, those other stories give us some measure of joy that it is having an impact.
Boys polishing suggests that there were at least the assessment at the time when this initiative started. There's some scuff marks probably or some blemishes. What were some of those things you saw that needed addressing in boys that gave rise to boys polishing?
Well, I went to a dinner. It was a dinner for two. My wife couldn't make it, so I invited this young man to come with me. He was in his 20s actually. So we are well dressed in suit and we went up to the buffet, came back to the table and sat down. And he pulled out a spoon out of his back pocket that he brought from home. And that was really shocking to me. I said, "What is that?" He said, "Well, you see this knife and fork thing? I can't eat with knife and fork." He's never knife and fork. And I said, "No, this is really, really a crisis to have that sort of thing." Because we've had young people who have gone and they are accustomed eating with their hand out of a box, fast food and so on, but they haven't eaten a square meal with nice protein and vegetables, etc. They have not been able to sit down in fine dining. And I think that sort of lowers our marketability as far as relationships is concerned, if we say so. And so we went that route to be able to, on the camp, we always bring in a nice square meal, you eat with ware plate, you have the cutlery put out, that's how you would have it. And that is what makes it kind of expensive to wear, because you are trying to teach them these things. So we ask them, don't bring anything from home and those times, so that to apply that. So it is because of that shortage that I think it was necessary for us to take it in a more serious light.
Now, this year's program covers areas like emotional control, peer resolution, money management, mental health, etiquette, and personal grooming. And I know you mentioned that the initial starting point for this initiative was this encounter that you had. But why is it important that we still in the year of 2026, that we still have to be, especially as it relates to personal grooming, that we still have to focus on these points in particular with our men as opposed to our female counterparts? Because we continuously see the progression with women. They are taking into consideration their personal development, but sometimes we think and we that there's a regression with the men in terms of personal grooming and how they carry about themselves in society.
Well, you know, I would say that we also see the need for personal grooming for women, because I think women themselves see the kind of dress code that women exhibit. So yes, it needs in both sides, both the men and the women. And my focus has to be on the men. And because I think that we need to be able to evolve to the point where we can be able to associate with any strata in society. And I think that we as young men, well, I can't say we as young men, but all young men have not been able to come into the space and dress in a certain way that is reflective of the job and so on. Sometimes they think jeans is acceptable in almost anything, anywhere that they go. That's one of it. And so when we focus upon them, we show them how to tie ties, we show them how to be able to dress for the occasion, how to blend colors, etc. And that has also been showing some great improvement and fruits in.
There's an experience I've had in this regard that I'm wondering whether we don't need to take it beyond boys polishing, or boys polishing has to have another element in terms of what is available. Having raised a boy,
okay,
one of the more significant challenges we had was to find formal clothes for a growing boy. You would find the jeans and the t-shirts and the sneakers and all sorts of stuff, and in those same stores you find really nice dresses for girls. And so it's almost as though there's messaging from the business community. This is what boys should look like when they dress, and this is what girls should look like when they dress. So there was significant difficulty, and I mean, I'm talking to parents now who are raising boys, and that difficulty continues, where it's difficult to find formal clothes, so that even for parents who want to do it right, there's that significant difficulty in getting. Do you think that we may probably need to address the business community in terms of making similar lines, as it were, of clothes available for both boys and girls?
The business community, I think, caters whatever is demanded, they supply. And so they won't make demands for clothing. So they would now stock almost every boutique, every place you go into, there's a good array of what women are looking for. But we don't have that with men, and probably because we ourselves not making the difference. But if we start even going to a tailor, going to somebody who would be able to prepare the clothes and so on, and we start dressing in it, we can also create that our own demand in it. And when we go inside of there, we make our position known that we want some more mild dress.
I don't have the latitude to name businesses, but there's one store, and I'm hearing parents today saying that on the island there's really one store that they can find the formal clothes for boys. So, ladies and gentlemen, we may have to be a little more demanding of our business suppliers.
Yes. And you are right. You really have a different. But maybe travel overseas. I've gone overseas and so on. Almost a store you go into, you look at it and I walk out and leave my wife inside, and I go to some electronic store because
there's nothing for you.
Yes, and then with my height, you know.
Now, character building is one of the program's key pillars. your view, what qualities define a well-rounded young man in today's society, and how do you intentionally cultivate those throughout the camp?
So, when you are well-rounded young man, comes from 3 areas in my mind: the way he thinks, the way he feels, and the way he socializes with the people around his community, his family, people that he encounters with. If we get the thinking right, then the feeling going to fall in line with the thinking, because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. What we do, we try to adjust behavior, and adjusting behavior is temporary, but if you adjust thinking, that is permanent. We work on the thinking part so that when we change, and are you getting what you want out of life? I had a chat with a young man sometime this week, and he was apparently suspended for cursing in school. And so I asked him, did you get what you were looking for? He said no, because he didn't look for to be suspended. He's doing well in school, etc. And so he says, no, he didn't get what he wanted. So what has been done is that stop behaving like this. So he really doesn't want to. And then he's back into it. So now what we are going through now is the thinking. Are you getting what you want? Because what rewards us is that we got what we're looking for. And he has to determine that. Is cursing this person more important in showing up as hard and forceful? Is that important than finishing your studies without all of these suspensions? Because you're doing well in school. Should you continue doing that and your grades continue to drop because you are not there to be taught, etc.? And that we're trying to help them to see. Focus in your future, understand that, and let everything that you do today line up with that.
There's also the whole ideology of appropriate expression, because you can get your point across without necessarily using language that is not socially acceptable. Yes. So I guess part of the issue may well be the ability to use language appropriately. I think that may be an issue as well for the schools to address in terms of how, because you teach a sort of stuff that you expect them to reproduce for an exam.
Yes.
But have you taught them how to apply it?
Yes.
And I think that may be actually, because I'll say this, I have encountered police officers who become very, very irate if you ask them a question. I suspect that they have a challenge with explaining an answer.
Yes.
I have had, on the contrary, very pleasant responses from police officers who were able to answer questions. I remember I laughed once at a police officer writing ticket. He said, "We're laughing." I said, "It's the way that you are able to explain what you're doing. You're not aggressive. We're having a conversation. You're not going to change your mind, but you're polite." I said, "And something that you don't often see."
Yes.
And I think that we have to more on, I agree with the change of thinking, but applicable expression. What is an appropriate way to express the thoughts that are in your mind?
So we call that the soft brick wall. Soft brick wall. I'm soft on the person, but my boundaries still hold. And what we feel, to get boundary to hold, we have to be hard on the person. So I'm happy that you shared, because what that police showed is that I can afford to be able to connect with you in a very soft way, but you're still getting your ticket. You see?
Now let's talk about grooming. I know earlier we touched a little bit on it, but there is still a perception within society that grooming is particularly for females. It's more feminine, and that creates, as you said before, the thinking or the mindset that a lot of young, they do not want to be associated with that term. But in terms of as it relates to redefining stereotypes of what masculinity looks like, how does this camp go about approaching grooming and ensuring that our young men understand that self-care and taking care of themselves is also a very critical part of their well-rounded ability, and especially within society, how they function and move through life?
Right. So my understanding of grooming is that I present myself in a way that is appropriate also for the space that we're in it. So grooming would take place in different ways. If let's say a boy wants to do his hair and goes to the barber and do all of that. But where he's going, he's a diver. it doesn't really help him to do all of that creaming and so on. So your grooming has to be taken into consideration for what you're doing. And there are different stages of grooming, and we think that grooming has always got to be that we shampoo and we look in a certain way. But it is making ourselves presentable. And if we can be able to help them to be able to make themselves presentable in whatever way, it does not have to be expensive, but you must be able to be looked and say, listen, there is, the person is well put together, full stop.
There has been the question as to who sets the standards and who says this is well dressed as opposed to that being well dressed. How do you respond to that among some of the young who may present that argument because they prefer to appear this way as opposed to that?
Well, it's a personal decision that a person makes. You see, I remember that I was picking up a man to drop him to where I think he was with work. He just got the work and so on, and I had to wait on him while he creamed his skin. You see, now you could jump in the car and cream his skin while we're driving. So I had to wait there because he has to be before a mirror. So that's a decision he makes. So I don't know where he got that as so that is what he has to do. But I think the entire has to be a personal decision, and that person has to say whether it works for them and the steps that they take, whether it is lining up with what gives them the best thing. You're late for work because you're doing that. One gentleman that I was teaching, he got a job. The first day of his job, he did not attend. So when I saw him, I said, well, how was the job? He said, well, I didn't go. And I said, what happened? A pimple came up on his face.
Right.
Yeah, he said, Mr. Stewart, I couldn't go with that pimple.
He was working in television?
No. You see, and that's what I'm saying. Decision he makes. No, of course, he lost the job. You see? But what can you say?
Now, Mr. Stewart, as we wrap up, finally here within the Boys Pollution Camp, registration is open, and you've also invited businesses and members of the public to sponsor boys who may not be able to afford the program. How can persons support this initiative? And just tell the community why it's so important for us to continue to invest in our young men.
And we need to invest in our young men. We see where things are going in their performance, in the education system, in their showing up. You see them at the sides when you pass through villages and so on. We really need to be able to engage them, and they have the talent and the ability, but we need people to support it. Boys Fishing Camp has been in the past. I know that under the then Secretary Joel Jack, we got support during that time, and that was one of the reasons that probably we had a little hiatus for a period of time, because it really requires funding. But as I said, you have to get a caterer to come in, prepare the meals for us to be able to have the place displayed in a way for them to eat, and we have to bring in people to do it. But people have been asking us, why don't you just continue it and so on, just charge and we'll come. The reason why we didn't want to charge was because the people that we want to reach can't afford it. But they said, well, instead of not have it, because we've got a number of people to see if they could support it and so on, and we haven't been getting the kind of support that we wanted. Instead of not having it, just charge it and let those who come. So this is why now we're going to have it $800, which is we're running it for 1 week, which is starting from the 20th to the 24th of this month. One school closes, and that is $160 a day. $160 a day. Even sounds big with $800. But when you look at how much we pay for a child to cross the stage for graduation of $2,500 for one night, we have asked ourselves, will our parents be prepared to pay $800 5 days for $2,500 for one night so that they could cross the stage?
All right, tell us quickly how we can be contacted for the registration, and of course I'm certain that somebody is going to be willing to sponsor at least one boy.
Thank you very kindly. 480-0080, 480-0080 is my telephone number. WhatsApp me, and we're going to make the arrangement for the registration. We've been getting good calls so far, and I'm hoping that that would continue so that we will be able to have a full capacity.
much for coming and for sharing with us, and we certainly wish success for Boys Polishing Caribbean 96.
Appreciate it.
We'll stay right after the break. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Limited, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we'll be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our ID as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products, it's about relationships, it's about innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
As small Caribbean islands, we need to remember that we can't do it individually. The Caribbean needs to work as a whole. From something as simple as pool procurement of medicine or pool procurement of equipment, to sharing training, to having centers of excellence in different lands. Working together as one, we become giants.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on station.
Nice.
If I have to call a supervisor one more time to sign off on a customer because their financials in a mess, I will scream.
Hey, don't scream, bank. That have lockup in it.
It's either they're not registered properly. You know what? We could just forget about annual returns, right?
Compliance is hard work to most of them. All your compliance out of here. But eat.
What is wrong with Trinbagonians? I mean, it has such help they could get out there.
Well, you know, Trinis, we don't like to spend we money.
But you know what? Be comfortable with losing we money. That make it any financial
What people should do is call Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago.
Wait, what? Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago?
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago Tax and Accounting Services. They offer help from registering your business to filing your tax. Match is over.
Wait, tell me more.
No, go to the bank. You go and scream in the bank.
No, Antoine, don't get one sooner.
Coming up, Barbados Festival season with Crop Over, where you can live like a local. Moments of discovery and joy during Culinary Month in Antigua and Barbuda. Find that hero within you. As these women of vision and their stories of success. Caribbean Passport TV, your guide to what's happening in the region, here on this station.
Our world is filled with rhythm. Rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives in the tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to build a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat, heart of everything we do. And our commitment is to keep rhythm flowing, no matter what.
when you're moving from place to place, place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Just thank you for staying with us. We're talking fitness, we're talking health, well-being, and we're doing that with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service Tobago Division. We're talking on aerobics burnout, and to do that, to talk with us about Constables Goddard and Lashley. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, sir. Pleasant good morning to you and the whole of Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago.
It is good to have you both. Now, let's start. Aerobics burnout is not what we look for from the police service. It's not what we've grown to expect. We expect to see police on roadblock, writing tickets, searching house in state of emergency. We expect to see community police visiting school to children. We've come to learn that we have a bike riding thing going on. Burnout. What gave rise to the police service deciding to do something like that?
Well, even though yes, all those things. And it's ironically say community police where we operate out of the community oriented policing section. And coming out of everybody wanting to get health, wanting to get that better fitness level.
Because I like to run behind people too.
Decided to say we've been having some aerobics at the station. So as the community policing side of it, just going to schools instead of just reaching with families and stuff like that, why not make it into a community outreach aspect of it? We could just come and say, hey, all come and sweat with police. Look at police as your next door neighbor, your sister, your mom, your dad, and stuff like that. So it's just a bridge that ever-growing gap that we have seen recently between the public and the TTPS, and we just say the best way to do it is the form of an aerobics, but it's not a burnout. It's just going to work out with the police and just meet your fellow in your neighborhood.
And we're seeing some videos on the screen activity that has already been taking place. It's easy to identify, I think, are some of the positives from involving the community in activity with the police. Do you suppose that there would be any negatives that you can identify, how they can be addressed?
Well, there shouldn't be negatives in this aspect, and if there are, we could address it. I mean, people could have conversations, and conversation is always the way to go. And with conversations, you start to build relationships. I think one of the problems is that most of us doesn't have that kind of relationship. So community doesn't have the relationship with the police, and the police doesn't have the relationship with the community. But if we could have that, then we all could go ahead and it'd be easier to solve crime.
See, I remember in my childhood days, there was a police station in my community, and the police were friends. I mean, you could buy the police station, make little jokes, and you know, kind of have fun. I even asked one of them one day to put me in a holding cell, just to see what it would be like. So I tell people I made my jail early and me going back. but there are times when you get this sense, even from the way people speak, that friendship with police officers can be negative in two ways. One, in that sometimes the person who thinks that they have a friend in a police officer can become a little bit sensitive and contemptuous. And then there's probably more serious risk of being viewed as an informant, and that putting yourself possibly at risk. How do you respond?
The thing about that is that most people, because of upbringing, sometimes think that's, well, if I'm a friend of the police, I'm a snitch or stuff like that. Not necessarily, because always remember this, that I'm from this community and I also come from this community, and we are all products of this community. So what you see from me, what the community would have produced, and what I see from you is what the community have produced. You make choices and I make choices. And most of the time is that sometimes people who say these things are saying that everyone has something to hide, but sometimes people have things to hide, so they don't want the police close to them. That's it.
But let's go back to the activity in itself. When and does a member of the community become involved in this particular?
Right, so this aerobics exercise is going to be held Tuesday, the 14th. We know that heritage is soon upon us, so I know everybody wants to be a part of the heritage, everybody wants to be a part of the culture, so before heritage we could do it. So that's so I chose the 14th of Tuesday, and if, as you would have seen on the video earlier, it's at the Chauvin station. So arrival time is at 4. I know it's in the week, so I know some still looking to get off of work and stuff like that. So we want to start promptly at 5, but you know we're still able to give the little extra
flexibility,
right? So it's at the Chauvin Road Police Station. So you just come down, pure parking, right, and just come have a fun time. It's all about energy. It's all about having the idea of fitness. And we know Carnival is soon. Carnival is soon upon us. So I know some people coming to get that Carnival
earliness
inside one time.
Let me just let the public know, because I listened very carefully, and it appears to me that you are the one who is leading this. Just burning you, ladies and gentlemen, on the morning of Wednesday the 15th.
Tuesday.
Not call us. No, it's Wednesday. That was the muscles that started rebelling. Do not call us here to be go. They make contact with Constable Lashley. He's the one who is leading this thing. But gentlemen, have you seen any change? We've been hearing, unfortunately, lots of unfortunate reports about police officers who recently dismissed from the service. Have you been able to, in the face of all the negatives, any improved relationship between the public and the police, and that or does this have to be a place of starting?
Well, what I will say is that there is some difference. It has been seen because we've seen a lot of persons are now being focused on, like I said before, the health aspect. And it's also to show that even us as officers who works 24 hours, who goes 48, you know, that constant working ethic, it drains the human body. And with that, because most persons now are in doing 5Ks and doing walkathons, marathons and stuff like that. And recently, some months back, we have held a night run, the glow run. The amount of persons we saw come and we realized that, okay, cool, this is an avenue that we can utilize. As my colleague would have said, also got at, that it's where persons are interested in being fit also gives them the opportunity to come and say, hey, I have this. They may know a police officer who may have been a classmate, or they come and talk to the officer and say, hey, this is what has happened. I've given you this information, and that is where we are rebuilding that trusting aspect. That I wouldn't want to say lacking. It is that we know how
you can use some improvement.
Yeah, right. So, but the trust is being rebuilt. We are seeing a better communication from the police to the public and public to the police. So this is just another engine in the wheel of the system to just make it grow and get bigger and better and faster.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming and for sharing with us. It's next Tuesday, the 14th of July, Chauvin Police Station.
Yes.
Getting promptly at 5 p.m. Do not be late.
Arrival time 4 p.m.
Call time is 4 p.m. So you have an hour to familiarize yourself with some of the police officers. You may need a little body. You can choose the police officer. If you get there on time, you get the best pick. You get all to choose from. If you get there late, you have to take one left. Thank you again for coming and for sharing with us. And we certainly hope that it's going to be a successful, not only aerobic session, but something in terms of rebuilding and fostering closer ties with the community. Thank you again for sharing.
Thank you very much. You have a blessed day.
Thank you, and The same to you. Thank you. Well, folks, we invite you to stay with us. We take a short break and come back. We talk about the Venezuelan relief efforts. Stay with us and remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Coming up, Barbados kicks off festival season with Crop Over, where you can like a local. Moments of discovery and joy during Culinary Month in Antigua and Barbuda. Find that hero within you. As these women of vision share their stories of success, Caribbean Passport TV, your guide to what's happening in the region, here on this station.
As all Caribbean islands, we do need to remember that we can't do it individually. The Caribbean needs to work as a whole. Something as simple as pool procurement of medicine or pool procurement of equipment, to sharing training, to having centers of excellence in different islands. Working together as one, we can become giants.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
And I have never tried anything from the dirt oven.
Let's go to the backyard dirt oven on a Thursday and talk about authentic fun. And I felt at home. I felt like I was going to visit my loving grandmother on a weekend. The kind of weekend where she showers you with love, stories, and food. This place is a home away from home. And just like we would do at home, I pop the question, what you had to eat day? And boom, coconut drops. Boom, bread. Boom, garlic bread, boom, hops, boom, coconut tart, boom, jam tart, and boom, something they call nuts. And just like that, Mistress Baker was ready to pop them in the oven. And don't worry, she had some help. And while we was waiting, I said, let me hear from Mistress Baker herself.
Well, we've been operating for a couple of years now. We started, it's a COVID project. We operate strictly on Tuesdays. Tuesdays only. It don't keep stock. We only sell on Tuesdays.
Such a sweet lady. Hey, Olia, ready. When last you see a nice golden brown bread, backyard bakery for the win. Olia, a GT, I finally get me the oven bread with a little extra goodies on the side. You might be asking, where they're located? They are located on Bukuru, right on Nightingale Avenue, right before Racetrack Wheels if you're coming from town. Just look for the green hedge. You can't miss it. Pause. Check out the menu they one time. Honestly, guys, this experience I will never forget. It's a home away from home, a place filled with love, life, and most importantly, good bread.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, thank you for staying with us. We are here at the end of Tobago Updates morning show here on Tobago Updates. But our programming is not finished. Up next, we have GMT. Alex, we had quite the morning.
Quite a morning it was, and indeed I'm certain our viewers enjoyed it as much as we did, or probably even more than we did. Thank you for staying with us.
Stay right here and remember to
share the light, share the light, share the light.
Wondering, if you have been asking, questioning, Nicosi and Cindy Dick.
Come, Jesus, come. We will be reflecting and focusing on a man whose music has crossed oceans, whose voice has united generations, and whose love for culture has made Tobago proud.
For the day you return to heal every hurt and right every road, we need you right now. Come and turn us around. Deep down I know this world isn't home. Come Jesus, come. Come Jesus, come. But I never knew they would slip right through. Grains of sand.
Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we'll know that there's always tomorrow. Write out your storm, 'cause God is still with you. You may not feel it, but you're not alone. Oh. Someone loves you, honey. Ooh, yeah. No matter what, I just want you to be my guy. Someone loves you, honey, more than anything in the world. All I is one family.
Always one family. Always one family. Always one family. How we do? Hold tight. Rock right. Jam so. And we gonna rock down sweet Tobago. Jam tight. Rock right. Jam so.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chanel Felix. And you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have stations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and stations, let's have one news in 90 seconds. Career opportunities are now open across the armed forces as Trinidad and Tobago's force launches its 2026 recruitment drive. And positions are currently available within the Air Guard, Coast and Trinidad and Tobago Regiment. Motivated citizens aged 18 to 25 with clean criminal records till July 10th to complete online registration. Mandatory in-person document verification for Air Guard applicants is scheduled for mid-July at the Cross Air Station in Piaco. Finally, in a formal public advisory, the Ministry of National Security is warning citizens and businesses to maintain the highest level of respect when handling national emblems. Authorities emphasize that whether state emblems are displayed, reproduced, or used for commercial purposes, they must strictly comply with National Emblem Regulations Act. The ministry is directing the public to the official National Identity Guidelines on its website portal to prevent illegal or undignified misuse of state heritage. And finally, atmospheric models report the Sahara dust concentration across the isle will remain low over the next 3 to 4 days. This temporary relief is due to back-to-back tropical waves in the tropical convergence zone moving across the region, which are actively clearing the skies. However, a moderate dust surge is forecast to arrive by Friday, reducing air quality and visibility marginally heading into the weekend. And that was on News in 90 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we were chatting online with no other than and no strangers here on Tobago Updates, Attorney Martin Joy. We are chatting this morning about the recent restrictions as it pertains to diplomatic passports, and we have 2 passport ministers who have gotten those passports. This morning we are chatting all about that here on our show. Good morning, Mr. George, and welcome.
Yes, hi, good morning to you, Miss Felix, and good morning to all your viewers on Tobago Updates. And I want to encourage you all to keep up the good work, because everywhere I travel, I travel to Bosnia, I travel to Russia, I travel to all the countries in the Eastern Bloc and have been following Tobago Updates. So you are making an impact across the globe. So please keep up the good work.
Excellent. Now, we have heard about the revocation of two of those diplomatic passports from former Prime Minister Dr. Rowley, as well as former Prime Minister Young. With this, we heard Stuart Young coming out and publicizing the fact that his diplomatic passport was revoked, and he attributed it to a lot of political victimization. However, in response to that, the Prime Minister came out indicating that there are actually 1,000 persons on the system with diplomatic passports who do not fit the criteria for that. She also explained that a number of their foreign partners have alerted Trinidad and Tobago of the number of diplomatic passports passing through these different airports. First, viewers watching online this morning, tell us exactly what are the purpose of a diplomatic passport? What exactly does that allow one to experience when traveling from country to country, and why is it important, if at all, for the government to have somewhat put some reins on that?
Okay, the thing is, remember, when you have a diplomatic passport, first of all, when you get to a foreign country, there's a sign for diplomatic passport holders, so therefore you don't line up with the general public. There's a special line for you, so your processing is expedited. In addition to which, with the diplomatic passport, you are given diplomatic cover whenever you are traveling. So it means that, for instance, your access to the embassy, you are basically traveling as a representative of the state of Trinidad and Tobago whenever you use that diplomatic passport. So it's something that has been used in that sense, and something that we can solve simply. I don't know why this thing is such an issue. All we need to do is to bill to Parliament and have a list and say, well, okay, going forward, these office holders, right, and you designate the specific offices, right? So if you say President, Prime Minister, Chief Justice, whoever, and you go through your list and you say, okay, these office holders will be entitled to a diplomatic passport while they are in office, once they are holding the office, and therefore you have a fixed list or fixed cut. Therefore, it's not going to be at the whim and fancy of people. You remember there was an issue some back with Jack Warner with the issue of a diplomatic passport, the back and forth. So the thing is, it cannot use to political favoritism or political punishment, if you understand me, to say, well, because a different government is in power, revoke the passport immediately. Let us get fixed list, and you have this now, you pass legislation and you say, hey, these persons, these categories of offices entitled to a diplomatic passport. Right, so that's one thing. The second thing, and it's very easy, you put a sunset clause in the diplomatic passport by the expiration date. So in other words, it is that you have an office holder who is going to be in office for the next 5 years. Then you put the expiry date of the passport for that 5-year period. If they win again or they are able to serve again, then we issue a new passport for the next period. And embarrassing scenario of having to, pull back passports when people leave office, that kind of, you just simply use that 5-year window or the term of office for each office holder, or say, for instance, if it's a foreign ambassador, all right? So if his appointment is a 3 appointment, then you issue him a diplomatic passport for a 3-year expiration date. So therefore, when his term is up, If he is not renewed, then you don't even have to go running him down to get back the passport, because the passport would have been expired, and then he will just revert to using his normal passport. I don't know why in Tobago we make these things seem like, it is so challenging to solve. Simple, mundane issues. There are much more important things we should know about, like, for instance, the fact that passport books are running out, and that staff in the passport office are being told to, ration and slow down process. I mean, imagine that in the year 2026. It's just so scandalous.
Understood. The Prime Minister did offer an alternative type of passport to these former Prime Ministers. Tell us a bit of that. And she indicated that that would also offer them some level of privileges as well.
Right, so she offered the official passport, which is still different from the ordinary passport that ordinary citizens like you and I would hold. All right, so the official passport means that you are now officially recognized as someone who is traveling with this blessing of the government, so to speak. All right. So the thing is, it does give you some privileges, but you don't have any diplomatic cover. That is the big difference. So no immunities or anything attached to that. So therefore, you can seek to claim that when you are traveling. All right, but the point is, it give you a slightly higher status than an ordinary pass. But what I'm saying is that we have to move this out of political, decisions where a politician decides whether you get this or whether this one get. No, let us just pass legislation, fix the categories. So if it is 10, 15, 20 categories, and you say, okay, these offices or office holders are entitled, and settle that, and let's move on. I really see this as a storm in a teacup, in that sense. We have to move away from using these things as political leverage.
Understood. And, you conversations happening online that you just can't ignore. Persons that, we have some athletes who were granted awards for their performance, and hear the conversation coming up about the fact that in recent time, Stuart Yard went to Venezuela and had that meeting with Delcy Rodriguez, and speculating what that conversation was about. In what capacity was he having these conversations about energy within the region? And is he placing him strategically as a part of Trinidad and Tobago's foreign policy, particularly as it pertains to energy? And some were saying that he was quite out of place to do so. Do you think that this would have sparked this type of reaction from the government?
Well, the thing is, in Trinidad and Tobago, I'm not need something like that to see acts of, political bash or political spite or political victimization. It unfortunately become part of our culture, and we have actually begun to accept it almost as the norm. And, I'm saying that we need to grow up, we need to move away from that type of, back and forth, the political shenanigans, that we tolerate from our leaders. We need to be able to, hey, listen, set a fixed list. All right. So therefore, we know sure who's supposed to get, who is not supposed to get. End of story. All right. And the thing is, in terms of, past prime ministers or presidents, it would seem to make sense that as part of your legislation, you would include them. Okay, one would not expect that these holders are supposed to go about abusing the passport privileges. If it is that there is an extreme case, then of course, yes, you're entitled to pull it back and revoke it. But, as a matter of courtesy, you look at what occurs in the US, where past presidents, they are accorded full security for the rest of their lives. They are accorded staff, for the rest of their lives. They are accorded allowances, they are accorded, monies to be able to erect a president in their honor. So the thing is, we have to understand that we cannot remain in the state of pettiness that we sometimes love to wallow in Trinidad and Tobago. We sometimes have to rise above that, look at the bigger picture, be the bigger man, be more mature, more responsible in the way we are governing and governance. And I think we, the people, are the ones who have called upon our leaders to start taking those steps, because if we don't so, they will never grow up. They will never grow up. They will continue with their petty bickering and the back and forth that they love to carry on with, because as far as they're concerned, that is what keeps them in power once they can divide and conquer.
Understood. But from where you sit and from the average person, the average man and woman looking on, do you think that visit to Venezuela can be deemed as an abuse of a diplomatic passport from former Prime Minister Stuart Young?
Well, I'm not sure that we can necessarily make that leap or that stretch to say it's an abuse of a diplomatic passport, because with an ordinary passport, he could have gone Venezuela. He didn't need a diplomatic passport to do so. Also, you take into account the fact that presidency would know and would have known that Mr. Young is no longer Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago. She would know that he's no longer a member of the government. She would know that he's no longer representing the government. She would know any talks she had with him are not binding on the government of Trinidad and Tobago. I think that was more for a show and, an appearance than anything else. You understand me? I think for both parties, they might have wanted it to look, that way, as if, significant is occurring here, and of course, basically due to the relations which are a little bit strained between President Delcy and our current Prime Minister, I think from President Delcy's side, she might have also wanted it to look as well, I'm having discussions with someone else and not you, if you understand me. And of course, it made Mr. Young look that, he's there having discussions. But at the end of the day, I think they both knew, and we all know, that those discussions are in binding on Trinidad and Tobago. They are in no way representative of its view, in terms of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. So it's more, I think, cosmetic and superficial than anything of substance.
I mean, we also saw that former Prime Minister Stuart Young was also in the United States having these energy discussions quite recently as well. So persons are asking, does this have anything to do with backlash? And he asked the question as well, is it political victimization? So we want to separate the policy, the fact, and the law, speculation that this may have been politically motivated. Is it even possible to separate the two at all from the things that we've seen happen that led up to this revocation of the diplomatic passport?
Well, the thing is, in a mature society where individuals understand the difference between the petty politics and having policies, procedures, and practices which are substantive and which are designed to build your society, build your country, build your nation, they would be able to say, well, hey, listen, from the other side of the aisle, there are contributions which you can make which would be meaningful. So therefore it happens in other countries where sometimes even opposition politicians or persons from former regimes are invited to be part of official delegations because of the knowledge base they have, because of the contribution that they can make, and they're able to set aside their political differences and say, hey, listen, we're looking at this for the good of our country. Unfortunately, our politicians in Trinidad and Tobago have not appeared to show that level of maturity. So therefore, even if, it doesn't matter how well intentioned Mr. Young's, plans may have been in terms of those two meetings, the one in Venezuela and the one in the US, it will always be viewed through a political lens. And then what our leaders do is they whip up their supporters into a frenzy, to make it all look like, well, they this one is trying to embarrass us politically, so therefore we have to give a backlash, and we go on in this never-ending cycle, and heaven alone knows when Trinidad and Tobago is going to mature and grow up as a society and get out of this quagmire of political backlash, political victimization, which has been crippling our country for decades.
Understood. You gave a mouthful there, particularly as it pertains to where do we go as a society from here, not just as it pertains to diplomatic passports, but things that can be deemed as being used for political victimizations. You know, it may be other things, it may be particular licensing, certifications, or even granting state lands to particular organizations, whatever that might be. You know, having those set boundaries and laws so that it cannot ever be used or toyed for political gain. You know, we see the situation happening with the Hadids in Trinidad, and there's so much political speculations around it. I know that persons hesitant to comment because it's still an ongoing case. But when we look at Trinidad and Tobago setting concrete policies in areas as it pertains to former officials or even business persons to ensure that we can't use state resources as sort of a carrot on a string to get persons to operate in ways that we want them to, or use it as political victimization for political opponents. Talk to us a bit about that.
No, well, the thing is, you see, it's something that has been occurring, as I say, for decades. And unfortunately, we, the public, have tolerated it. We have almost embraced it as the norm. So in other words, it's like we expect it to happen. You know, just look at the situation when, you know, a new government comes into power. All the state boards, they change everybody. Whether you're good, whether bad, whether you're indifferent, whether you're performing or not. No, you are from the wrong political party, so we're changing you. In Tobago, it happens when a different political party comes in, you know, they change out, you know, all the people from the quote-unquote other side, you know. So therefore, you know, we don't operate on the basis of meritocracy. It's simply nepotism, political favoritism, and, you know, the backlash to that is the victimization which occurs, you know. And I mean, from a Tobago context, I mean, we see it all the time, you know. You see, even for instance, in the distribution of housing and state lands, when there are the housing projects and the land distribution projects, you know, it always seems to be along the political lines of those who are in power, you know, and the spiting of those who are not in power, you know, and we keep accepting this as the norm. And we have to understand that we will never get anywhere, never grow, never develop as a society unless we break free of these shackles. And, you know, it's something very important for our future development, because if we keep going like that, we are, in other words, so you take 5 steps forwards, you make 5 steps backwards. 5 steps forwards, you make 5 steps, and that's how we go in a 5-year cycle each time we have elections. So you can never have any sort of continuity, any sort of growth, because in other words, it's like you start building a foundation and a different regime comes in. No, we don't like that. That is not our project. We'll break it back down. We've seen that happen so many times. Look at all the shenanigans with the boat for Tobago, the cargo boat, the passenger boat. You know, different regime came in. They didn't like the contract, so they scrapped that. You know, they terminate that contract and brought in their own boat. Don't care how long it took to reach here or whatever. And it happened under different regimes. So it's not just, you know, any one regime. It happens across regimes. You've seen it happen before in other circumstances. And it's just absolute nonsense and wastage of our state resources by our politicians with absolutely no accountability other than they are saying, well, look, this is my political stripe, and therefore I'm, you know, only favoring those of my political ilk. And this is why we cannot make any progress as a nation. You look around at all the other islands in the Caribbean, everybody is progressing. Look at Guyana. You know, years ago, we used to be laughing at Guyana and Guyanese, you know, laughing at Guyanese currency, laughing at Guyanese dollars. Now, Guyanese are awash with US. And they in turn are laughing at Trinidad and Tobago with our forex crisis that we have. You know, they're saying if you want US dollars, come to Guyana. They're telling you that up front, if you understand me. So, you know, we need to understand that everybody is making progress. And you ask yourself, where are we? We were once the wealthiest, the richest, the most powerful in the Caribbean. And the point is, we have had decades of billions of dollars of wastage, mismanagement, corruption, nepotism, you know, and it has been squandered. And we continue along that path still. There's no change in our approach.
Right. Martin, the public is divided on this particular diplomatic passport matter. Some persons are saying, well, nobody is entitled, while the other side is saying this is political spite. But you are now coming in the middle and saying, listen, all that we need is the adequate legislation that has clear outlines for who can use it and for what time period. We're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back with much more discussion on this topic right after this soon.
Our world is filled with rhythm that's unapologetic, infectious, timeless. Rhythm is commitment in action. It's how we show up for each other with unrelenting support that goes the distance. Rhythm lives tiny beats of our most intimate moments and the seismic roars of our biggest achievements. Rhythm is resilience in motion. So even when things go out of sync, we do what it takes to bring the rhythm back. At Flow, we understand your rhythm because we live it. That's why we're dedicated to building a network as resilient as you, with a team of familiar faces working every day to keep you on beat. You're at the heart of everything we do, and our commitment is to keep your rhythm flowing, no matter what.
Coming up, Barbados kicks off festival season with Crop Over, where you can live like a local. Moments of discovery and joy during Culinary Month in Antigua and Barbuda. Find that hero within you. As these women of vision share their stories of success, Caribbean Passport TV, your guide to what's happening in the region, here on this station.
As small Caribbean islands, we do need to remember that we can't do it individually. The Caribbean needs to work as a whole. From something as simple as pooled procurement of medicine or pooled procurement of equipment, to sharing training, to having centers of excellence in different islands. Working together as one, we can become giants.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
From the reef to the road. From the reef to the road. From the reef to the road. Tobago calling. Sweet vibes, sweet wine, everybody falling. We bring it just straight to you. Tobago updates, keeping it true. Oh gosh. Tobago updates. Here we go. You're home for October. Can't even show from the big station to the Tobago line. Bring Tobago to the world in real time. Tobago updates. Tobago updates. Carnival 2026. We said the place. Wave your flag. Anywhere you're there. Island love, criminal on you. Big lock on for the rhythm start. Tobago updates. Caribbean art. Caribbean art.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, where innovation meets excellence, service reigns supreme. Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces. At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style. Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business. Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products. It's about relationships, it's about you. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been chatting with Attorney Martin George on this whole diplomatic passport revocation issue. Good morning, Mr. George, and welcome back.
Yes, hi, thank you.
Right. So we heard from Stuart Young, even in response to his diplomatic passport being revoked, saying that he would have some judicial review done on this decision. What grounds would he have to make any legal response to this particular move from the government?
Well, the thing is, I don't see it as a right. I see it as a privilege that has been accorded to you as an office holder. So I'm not sure which right can found any claim for judicial review in that context, because at the end of the day, you must show a breach of some right if it is that you are looking to, enforce some type of legal action in that regard. And if it is you don't have that, then you may need to reconsider your approach. That's all I will say respectfully. But of course, I haven't spoken with him directly on the issue, and I don't know what grounds he is, looking at or maybe looking at if it is that he did indeed say so.
And you also hinted to something that Stuart Young said in his short video, persons may call a rant, about the fact that there are so many other things happening in Trinidad and Tobago that the government needs to pay particular attention to. Not just the fact that, we have passport books running out, just the place that the Trinidad and Tobago economy is going in. Particularly, you highlighted the Forex crisis in Trinidad and Tobago, already revenue diversification. Where do you think our focus needs to be at this point in time, not just as a nation, but the government particularly? Where should we be headed?
Well, the thing is, I think the economy is the biggest challenge we all face. We've seen Mr. Curtis Williams speak about, the cries of people in the Tobago business community. We of the Tobago Business Chamber, we also, have experienced that in terms of, what our members are saying. So therefore, it is clear that there is need for some definite improvement in terms of our economic situation in Trinidad and Tobago, and the government needs to focus on the big picture issue. So the thing is, you look at Methanex looking pull out of Trinidad and Tobago. You had other major energy players already exiting. You're hearing talk that Nestle maybe reconsidering their operations. So the thing is, when you see these things start happening, you have to ask questions as to where are we headed? Because when you are in a progressive economy, then in such a circumstance, it doesn't augur well if it is that you have persons who are looking to pull out, especially major players. If your economy is thriving, then of course people will actually want to be coming into your economy to invest. So, there is a big picture issue that nobody seems willing to confront, to try to deal with. You hear the government successively talking about diversification of the economy, but nobody's really doing anything tangible to achieve this. So we're basically in a situation where our economy is moribund and stagnant and going nowhere. You look at the international projections, you look at the projections from the World Bank, from the IADB, from the IMF, and we are not in a good place when it comes to our economy. You see many small businesses closing down, collapsing, folding. You go through some of the malls, people say Trinity Mall, which used to be, one of the most vibrant malls, it's no longer in this or place. So you have to ask yourself, even here in Tobago, the mall at Lowlands, you see some empty spaces, so therefore that tells you that there is a downturn in business, there's a downturn in the economy. Mr. Reginald McLean, he has been speaking out, he's head of the Tobago Hotel Association, he keeps saying and he keeps sounding the alarm to say, hey, listen, the Tobago tourism sector is not in a good place. In fact, he reminded us of something that I have said repeatedly, that basically Tobago's tourism is founded on the visits by Trinidadians. That is where we are. If you look at foreign visitor arrivals, we're talking about going and open the spanking brand new airport, which actually is a better airport than Piarco. It's bigger and better, than Piarco, and that's great. But the point is, if you don't have the airlift, if you don't have the flights, if you don't have the visitors, if you don't have the hotel rooms to be able to house people when they get here, then what's the purpose of having a nice brand new spanking airport if you don't have it correlating with these other aspects of development, right? I'll give you an example. You look at St. Vincent, right? What Ralph Gonzalez did when he had to build the new airport in St. Vincent, basically they had to move a whole mountain to level the place to get a nice space for the airport. And a lot of Vincentians were up in arms, what is he doing? He destroying the nature, he this, that, the other, But the point is, there was a vision they had, and they dovetailed that with the development of the sandals, the same sandals which Tobago didn't want. And as a result, St. Vincent's tourism has now, skyrocketed. So the point is, we need to understand that if it is that we are doing this type of development, it has to be cohesive and it has to be coordinated and it has to be hand in hand with you providing the fundamentals to ensure that you are able to turn this into a profit, because that's the whole purpose of it. You're not building an airport just for show. You're building an airport so that you can have greater tourist arrivals. You could boost your economy. You could have more flights coming in. You could have more visitors. You could have more hotel room stock. But the point is, that has to be part of an overall development outlook. It cannot be done piecemeal and by vaps. We try a thing here and you sit and hope. So you open a nice brand new airport and then you're sitting and hoping that, one day, flights will just magically appear. It doesn't work like that. You have to now build those connections in advance. So in other words, you lay the groundwork for it. You make your connections with these carriers. You make your connections with the hotel chains, and you say, okay, right, if you build this hotel here, we're going to arrange with these airlines to get passengers to come here. Right. Then you say, okay, the next thing they will say, they need a proper airport. You say, okay, we're going to build that. So you do it in a way that everything works together seamlessly for your collective development of your nation. But the point is, we have approached these things in the past, firstly from a political lens, to start with, and then you have persons claiming, it's our party that built the airport, and then the other one will say it's our party that finished it and we opened it, and that's the type of, it's like in a schoolyard with children, bickering and fighting, my daddy bigger than your daddy, or my daddy stronger than your daddy. It's almost that kind of stupidity that our politicians are engaging in, instead of trying to see, what's the bigger picture for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago generally?
Yes. Understood. Well, we want to thank you so much, Attorney Martin George, for coming with us this morning and chatting not just about the diplomatic passport situation, but about where Trinidad and Tobago ought to be focused at this time to have that level of economic growth that we want if we ought to be competitive within the region and globally. So thank you for being with us this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break right here, and we're going to be back after this. See you soon.
Coming up, Barbados kicks off festival season with Crop Over, where you can live like a local. Moments of discovery and joy during Culinary Month in Antigua and Barbuda. Find that hero within you. As these women of vision share their stories of success, Caribbean Passport TV, your guide to what's happening in the region, here on this station.
And I have never, ever tried anything from the dirt oven.
Let's go to the backyard dirt oven on a Thursday and talk about authentic. On entry, I felt at home. I felt like I was going to visit my loving grandmother on a weekend. The kind of weekend where she showers you with love, stories, and food. This place is a home away from home. And just like I would do at home, I pop the question, what you had to eat day? And boom, coconut drops. Boom, bread. Boom, garlic bread, boom, hops, boom, coconut tart, boom, jam tart, and boom, something they call nuts. And just like that, Mistress Baker was ready to pop them in the oven. And don't worry, she had some help. And while we was waiting, I said, let we hear from Mistress Baker herself.
Well, we've been operating for a couple of years now. We started, this was a COVID project. We operate strictly on Tuesdays only. You don't keep stock, we only sell on Tuesday.
Such a sweet lady. Hey, Olia, it's ready. When last you see a nice golden brown bread, sir? Backyard bakery for the win. Olia, a GT. I finally get me the oven bread with a little extra goodies on the side. You might be asking, where they're located? They are located on Bukuru, right on Nightingale Avenue, right before Racetrack Wheels if you're coming from town. Just look for the green hedge. You can't miss it. Pause. Check out the menu they one time. Guys, this is an experience I will never forget. It's a home away from home, a place filled with love, life, and most importantly, good bread.
As small Caribbean islands, we do need to remember that we can't do it individually. The Caribbean needs to work as a whole. From something as simple as pool procurement of medicine or pool procurement of equipment, to sharing training, to having centers of excellence in different islands. Working together as one, we can become giants.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Okay. 335, 336, 337, 338, 339.
Counting on your fingers again. No wonder you lose your business.
Grandpa, thanks for helping me start over.
You not lucky in business, you know. As a child, you tried to sell hog plum. That failed. As a teenager, you and your boyfriend tried to break into the jewelry business. But hey, where that boy end up?
He live in Aruka, in the Grove. The golden one.
Oh, child, if you want to get into business, you have to have your financial records intact. But hey, do you know your numbers?
Of course, 624-33.
No, child, your numbers, your ratios, your equity ratios. You have a financial handicap.
What?
You need to see somebody about that. Anderson.
Who?
Anderson in Trinidad and Tobago, they offer tax and accounting services. They know about financial management.
Grandpa, I started this business with nothing.
And nothing is what you will end up with unless you call Anderson Services. Here.
Okay, this card is nice.
Yeah.
What's this?
Your rental fee. Have business will pay rent. Hot and groovy in the show party.
keep us strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We have beauty, we have power, we have people in the sun, we have beaches, we have rivers, we have melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we're stronger. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we continue our discussions and we are talking about the 2026 Skill Builders Summer Camp. And to have that conversation with me this morning, I had the privilege of chatting with Dr. Sean Ned, who is the Education Officer, as well as Dalton Joseph, who is the PRO of the Scarborough Urban Council. Good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
Right, so, you know, for those persons who are unaware, there's that Skills Builders Camp that's happening in the Scarborough area very soon, July 13th. And so there are a number of parents who are wondering, what are they going to do with the kids this summer? Tell us firstly, what's the age group for this camp?
Well, the age group starts from 12. If your child is 11 or your child is how we could call it, fast on the draw, we probably go up to 10. Right, but we start from 12 upwards.
Okay, and this is happening from 9 a.m. to 3?
Yes, 9 a.m. 3, Monday to Fridays. We are located at the Tafari building on the ground floor, right as a Bee's Ice Cream or opposite the Royal Castle.
Okay.
On Wilson Road, right. That's where we're going to be operating for the 6 weeks of the program.
All right. And Dr. Ned, tell us a bit about some of the areas of the camp that would be explored for the kids.
Okay, morning everyone. So we're very excited about this camp. This camp is following our initiative towards aiding the youth. So what we call labs, they entail a lot of things that speak to the building of skills, hence the name of the camp, for youth. The camp is open to adults, but we are focusing primarily on youth. The types of lab here would include the Power Up Lab. This is where we speak to electrical installation, those kinds of things. We have something called Fix It Flow, dealing with plumbing, AC, phone repairs, those kind of things. And then we have Grow and Build Lab, which deals with agriculture, learning about agriculture, learning how to make PVC furniture. We also have a Create and Style Lab, where we think about imaging, fashion, those sorts of things. And then we have a Digital Hustle, which is huge. Nowadays, we're looking at AI and computers, and we need to be computer literate, especially for youth. So that will take care of that. Then we have something called the Lead Tobago Lab. This is a community impact and youth leadership. So as part of that, youth need help with learning how to communicate. So this would include things, public speaking, right? Understanding themselves, where they want to go in life, so career development. Then we have things like mic check and podcasting, right? I mean, if you're on YouTube, I think this speaks for itself, and a lot of youth are very much interested in learning how to do things like that. And then we have Money Matters. So if you're going to get into business, you have to know how to manage your finances. So there's where we part people like credit unions to aid us. Then we have the Level Up Leadership. So this is team confidence, responsibility. So it part with your communication lab in a way, but it is a separate idea. And then we kind of have some more fun activities. Right. So you have what we call Chess Kings and the Domino Showdown. In the Kings, it partners with this understanding of critical thinking, strategic thinking. So we're doing a holistic view of what kids should be able to learn that affects pretty much their whole lives, their academic development, their understanding of sports, etc. And then we move to Boss Pitch Labs. So this is again presenting ideas, selling solutions, turning ideas into opportunities. So out of a lot of these labs, projects will be done, and we want to showcase some of those projects. So for example, the PVC furniture, we may actually sell some of that, right? So there's, as you can tell, there's a long list of labs here, and for the wonderful stuff, $200, right? We get that because the listing of facilitators, right? They are pro bono, right? And they are very much professional. So you're not getting some sort of side thing, right? And at the end, you will be getting certificates, right? So right now we're at this point where we are kind of landing the plane, and we want everybody, if they're interested, to go to the WhatsApp channel. The WhatsApp channel is called Skill Builds Summer Camp. Right? If you go there, then you can find the registration link, and register before, I would say, the next 2 days. You want to complete registration. You can channel everyone into the particular labs going forward.
All right. What about lunch and those type of things during the day? Should parents be packing lunch, or would lunch be provided during the sessions?
You want me to? Okay.
But well, parents should be packing lunches, right? And we offer that you work with pen and the book and stationery. All right. We may at some point in time have some a little knick and knack for them, right? But let's see how the camp goes. But what we're looking at is there would be little snacks and different things on sale also, but so that they don't have to reach anywhere about outside the camp to get that stuff. And as we were speaking there also, Dr. Ned, I think we should pay some emphasis on the coding factor.
Okay.
Right, the coding, because in this generation of the young ones are also known as digital natives, naturally by nature, and coding would be part of the package also, which at the end they will be prompt to produce something at the end of learning basic coding and that stuff. All right, so I just wanted to put that.
And who are some of the partners for this particular camp?
Well, we do partner with credit unions, right? We have more or less like Tima would also be a partner, considered a partner, and the facilitators, first of all, and their time, most important. All right, and we have reached out to other people, and some have responded, some have not responded. All right, but we, the council, are the one that is mainly taking the charge, because we see the need for the actual development in our society, young people. And I was just the other day, we were looking over something from a Chinese perspective of how young you try to instill skills into young people. You'll have to wait for them to finish school and then say, go and look for a trade or that kind of thing. You can set the direction from as early and decide to say, I want to be part of that skill. I want to learn more of that, right? Or I feel I can have a career as this or a career as that. Or I can use this to help my career and help my development as I grow in life. So these are the things that we envision when we set out on the Skill Builders Camp for the future of our generations.
And what about partnerships? Are you looking to forge future partnerships going forward?
Oh, yes, we are. Yes, definitely we are. All right. Dr. Ned, you want to say anything about
yes,
how we approach?
So the thing is, this camp is a huge opportunity, right? This is going to be the second year for the camp. Just want to remind everyone, this camp occurred last year. It was attended by about 60 plus youth. We got calls from the parents, the persons who saw us doing this camp noted the uniqueness of this camp. There's not much, especially around this time, that speak to this holistic approach of building skills for kids in very practical areas. So this is kind of a reach out We actually want to reach out to persons, partners, potential partners, listening in to please contact us. We are very much open to making arrangements. The camp does not have a huge footprint. It's simple things, venue, tables, chairs, right? Food, probably food is the largest thing, right? But going forward, we have to respect the facilitators doing that, because if they charge us, we probably can't run this camp. This kind of camp costs over $2,000 to $3,000 normally, and we're charging $200.
Yeah.
You're talking about a 6-week camp with a very positive background to it. I think major partners, I mean, I want to call names, but the thing is, you know who you are, you're out there, and we're willing to work with you, right, with a very positive message that I am sure will reflect highly on any brand that exists in Tobago and Trinidad. So we're very open to forming partnerships.
And you said something critical there. At the price of $200, that is definitely a seal of a deal for any parent who is looking to give their children, even if it's just a taste of that technical vocational aspect of having a multi-dimensional or dual track of education, because we want to move away from persons thinking that you just have to be solely academic,
right?
But you even want the academics to have something else in their back pocket. They can not necessarily fall back on, because when we think about TVET, we think about falling back, but there's not necessarily any reason to fall. But you can stand and be multi-dimensional. And so I'm happy that you guys are putting on this camp. This is an exceptional program for young persons within the area. But there may also be children from all parts of Tobago that can come to Scarborough. Scarborough is a central area where everyone can meet. Again, just remind us of the time, the date, the location, and the registration for parents that are looking on.
All right. Yes, that was well said. I like how you analyzed and understand what we are approaching. The camp starts from the 13th of July all the way to the 21st
next week
of August. Right, that's next Monday starts. It runs from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and each day, Monday to Friday. All right, the cost is again a humble $200. All right, and then we at the Tafari building on the ground floor. All right, for those who may not know where the Tafari building is, it's opposite the Royal Castle on Wilson Road, which Bee's Ice Cream is directly in front of the building. We're on the ground floor. All right, so you can call us 398-8685. Dr. Your number again?
Right, my number 338-1831.
All right.
And remind us again, remember there's the WhatsApp channel for persons to go on.
The WhatsApp channel. The WhatsApp channel allows you to log in, register, right, and stay part of the actual committee and process, and to be able to get updates as your child progress over the period of time. If there's any activities that we need to relate to parents, and as far as the things right down to the end of the program, which there would be from some of the audiovisual programs, right, there would be stuff that would be posted, right, to generate where the kids would be able to showcase what they have done over the period of time and could probably build upon, right?
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being here this morning and remind us about this Skill Builders Camp that's happening right here in Scarborough. And remind persons the building, it's right opposite Royal Castle.
Yeah, the Tafari building, right opposite Royal Castle on Wilson Road. Bee's Ice Cream is right in front of the building. All right, we're on the ground floor as you walk past Bee's Ice Cream, right? Wilson Road, Royal Castle, opposite Bee's Ice Cream.
Right, and for parents who may not have been able to register, from the 13th of July, will there be any concession made for those who want to walk in on that day?
We are trying our very best to not reach that situation, but however, we would consider circumstances from individuals. Alright?
Understood.
And you can call me, you can call Dr. Ned, you can book online, and then you can reach out, because once you book online, you get logged into chat, and then you can early consult on the situations you feel like to have a sit down and meet or whatever. We can discuss. We are open to development, and we don't want any child to be left behind in that way.
Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we end our discussions this morning. We want to thank you so much for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.